Welcome back to So Crafty. Today I want to show you how to make this simple drawstring bag from an old quilt. All you really need is a quilt or some fabric. You want to decide what size you want to cut it. I'm making mine a 12 by 12, and so I'm just cutting out the size that I'm wanting. And what I did was I took the quilt and folded it in half, and I cut the side and the top, and as you can see it's one long piece, so it's a 12 by 24. So you can do that with the quilt or fabric, however you want to do it. And then you're going to fold it right sides together, and then you're going to sew it on the seam, on the side seams. Now I went down about 2 inches from the top. That is the top from the opposite end of the fold. And I went down about 2.5 inches, and then I marked it with a pin, and then I started sewing from that point all the way to the end of the bag where the fold is. Now when you first start sewing from the pin, you want to back stitch it so you can secure it, and then just sew all the way down to the fold of the bag. I've sewed about 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. Then you're going to take the edge and you're going to fold it over at the top, making sure the back side is out of the way, and you're just going to sew that down, so that way whenever you fold it to make the casing, it is not a rough edge. And then once I get to the part that was sewn together, the seam where I started sewing, you're going to pivot it, go straight across that side, and then you are going to go across that part to where the other side is, and then you're going to fold that down as well, and then you're going to just sew back up to the top. And again, this keeps you from having raw edges when you fold it down to create your casing. And you're going to do that on both sides. Now, if you want it to be a little bit wider, that might help you. You can make your seam about 1/2 inch. It's just up to you, your preference. Now, notice that this bag is not going to be lined, so you will have raw edges on the inside, which you could zigzag or serge off if you want. And I'll show you what I do with mine in a minute. Okay, so see how the edges are folded over and they are not raw edges, so you got a nice clean edge there. And then you're just going to fold down one side up until you get to the top of the part where you started seaming the side. Sewing the side, and then you're going to start sewing that down. You're making the casing now, back stitch, and you're just going to go all the way down to the other end, making sure your other side is out of the way, and you're just going to go all the way down to the other end, so that tack that down in place, and you are making your casing right now for the handles and the drawstring. And then you're going to do that on both sides. Again, just fold down to the part where you started sewing, where the seam starts on the side seam. Back stitch. And then sew all the way down to the end. And back stitch when you get to the end to secure it. Make sure that the other side is out of the way and you're not sewing the top closed. Okay, now I'm just going to take my pinking shears and I'm just going to cut the edge, trim the edge. That's another thing that you can do. If you don't want to serge it or zigzag it, just take your pinking shears and just kind of cut the side seam to kind of give it a little decorative look, if you will. Just kind of make it a little bit easy easier. And so that's what I'm doing with mine. Just cutting down the side seams, and I'm careful not to cut the seam itself. These scissors are very dull. I need to get me some new pinking shears. Alright, now when you're done with that, you're going to fold it right. You're going to turn it right side out, and now we're going to put the drawstring into the casing. I take a safety pin and I'm tying the knot, tying it around the sharp point with a knot, and then I just take it and stick it in one side, and I'm just working it through until I get it all the way out on the other side. And you just keep pushing that pin through, and then just pulling it through till you get to the other side. Alright, and then okay, now I had already done the first part, so I just went through one end, and then I turned it around and went through the other end, and then I just made sure it was measured about the same width when it's fully open, and I just cut it off because you wanted to have a little bit, you don't want much, but maybe a little bit on the side when it's fully opened. And so now I'm just tying that in a knot really tightly so it doesn't come out. Now some people put beads there, some people put buttons, other things. It's your preference. I just leave it like that. And so now I'm going to put the drawstring in, but I'm going to go the opposite direction as I did on the first one. That way you'll have two strings on both sides that you can pull out. That's what makes it close. Pull it both out, but pull them both out. Just pull it on each side, and that's what makes it close up together. You gotta have one on each side. And so I'm just pulling this one through, and then I'm going in the other side. And then again, you don't want too much left when it's all the way open. You don't want too much string hanging off. I probably did a couple of inches. And you just keep working it all the way until you get it through. This just takes a little practice. Alright, now that we got this through, and then I'm going to kind of measure it along with the other end just to kind of make sure they're even. Alright, and now I'm going to tie it off. Make sure it's nice and tight. You can also make that knot go inside the casing so you can't see it when you, with your finished project, if you want. Alright, so I'm just tying that off, cutting the ends to make it look even. And there you have it. Now you have a cute little drawstring bag, and again, you can make it whatever size you want. And that's it. Then you just pull it tight on each side and it closes. And then you can take it from the middle and open it up again. These make cute little gift bags. Any kind of storage you want to carry your stuff in. And really cute. Make great gifts. And then here are some that I finished, and there are some smaller ones I did. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. Don't forget to subscribe and like. And I will see you next time. Thank y'all so much for watching.